So the big question is, does God always heal people supernaturally? The simple answer is God is always in the business of healing people, but not always in the way we expect, and not always in the time frame we want. His healing is always happening, but it doesn't always look like the physical healing we tend to think of first. God's first and greatest act of healing is restoring our relationship with him through Jesus' death and resurrection. That healing is complete, permanent, and cannot be undone. For some, at the moment of restoration, that's becoming a Christian and being born again, amazing healings of all shapes and manner can take place, but not always. But from that restored relationship, God continues to work in every part of our lives, emotional, spiritual, and physical. And each of those areas can interact with the others. But the way he heals and the way we experience that healing can be very different for each person. Sometimes it's instant, like a miracle. Sometimes it's gradual, through the body's own God-designed ability to heal. Sometimes it comes through doctors, medicine, and science. And sometimes it's the kind of healing that strengthens us rather than removes the struggle. In all of these, ultimately, it is the Creator God who is the initiator of the healing. I'm going to share with you some real life experiences of just a few that I've had experience of for people that have been prayed for. But please remember, this is a massive subject and is not a definitive course on healing. This video is intended to encourage and to give hope. The first one seems small, but it meant the world to a little girl. When my stepdaughter was 8, she trapped her thumb in the patio door. Her nail went black and she was in a lot of pain. And I fully expected she'd lose the nail. I dressed it and comforted her. That evening, some Christian friends came for dinner. They noticed the bandage and asked if I'd prayed for her. Sheepishly, I admitted I hadn't. But our eldest daughter spoke up and said she had. Our friends insisted we take the bandage off. And to our amazement, the thumbnail was perfect, perfectly intact. No bruising, no damage. And she told us the pain had gone the moment her sister prayed for her. That moment became a simple but unforgettable truth. God cares enough to heal even small things. The second event is very different. A young man we knew was on medications for schizophrenia and severe paranoia. He lived with constant fear and rarely went outside. Everyday tasks like waiting at a bus stop were overwhelming for him. He asked my wife and I to pray with him. But during that prayer time, I had a sudden image of a bee. Completely unexpected. I asked him if it meant anything. His mouth just dropped open. He explained that his family had been beekeepers for generations. And as a child, he had been forced to put his bare arm into a hive to prove he was fearless. Terrified, he hesitated, and his father shoved his arm in. He was stung repeatedly, traumatized and threatened with a beating. He never spoke about it. That moment had shaped years of fear. We gently led him in a prayer of forgiveness. Forgiveness for his father, who was doing what traditionally generations in the family had done to train family members as beekeepers. And, strangely enough, for the bees, who only did what comes natural to them when threatened. Something shifted. From that day on, he was able to go outside without fear. And over the next couple of months, his doctors, who were absolutely amazed, gradually removed his medication and eventually declared him healed. Finally, I want to share something quite different, something that still leaves me in awe. When I think about it, it was just beyond my understanding. I was on a mission trip to a small deprived rural village in India. Medical care was unreachable for most people, so healing prayer was deeply important to them. The tiny palm-thatched mud brick church was packed, and at the end of the service a long queue formed for prayer. One woman in her mid-30s was brought forward. The interpreter explained she had been deaf and unable to speak since birth. I prayed for her, but nothing seemed to happen. She looked crestfallen. Sometimes prayer ends quietly like that, and things happen over the course of the following days. After the prayer time, though, I was about to leave the building when I suddenly felt a strong urge to turn around and call out to her. She was across the room with her back to me. I called out, "What's your name?" She immediately turned, looked straight at me, and clearly spoke her given name. The whole church immediately fell silent. You could hear a pin drop, and then erupted in praise and thanksgiving to God. It was one of those moments where you know something that has happened that is far beyond you. Later I was told that for months afterwards people travelled from all over the region to that little church for prayer. And many coming experienced healing of all kinds and manner. As time went by, the woman's vocabulary grew until she could hold full conversations, and her hearing was perfect. I still think about it. How did she know I was calling her in a packed room when her back was turned to me? How did she understand English when no English speakers had ever visited the village? There was no TVs, radio, films, or schooling for that matter. I just can't explain it. But I can say this: God met her in a way that only he could. In all circumstances, I want to be clear, I do not advocate avoiding doctors. God has given medical professionals skill, wisdom and training, and it is never a lack of faith to seek their help. In fact, it would be unwise not to. But sometimes God chooses to reveal his hand by bringing healing in ways that medicine can't explain. Sometimes in small things, sometimes in situations that are more complex and dramatic. These moments don't replace medical care, but they do remind us that God is present and compassionate. So when something is medically awry, it's never wrong to pray. A simple prayer may open the door for God's gracious hand to bring a miracle, or to bring strength, comfort, peace or guidance through the people who care for you. I don't know why every specific ailment is not healed by God. We can't twist his arm or demand that he does so. And while God has supernaturally healed me in many ways over the course of my Christian journey, I also live with things that have not been healed. I have a heart pacemaker, an artificial hip, chronic osteoarthritis in the other hip. None of that stops me believing in a God who can heal supernaturally. I've seen too much and experienced too much to believe otherwise. But of this I am certain. He hears every request and he responds, sometimes in healing, sometimes in help, sometimes in strength, and sometimes in quiet ways we only understand later. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his healing light rest upon you, your mind, your body, and your spirit. May his strength rise within you, his comfort surround you, and his wisdom guide you. And may you discover his kindness in ways both gentle and unexpected.